Welcome to the Marketing on the Move podcast, hosted by the Breezy Company, your go-to resource to master your marketing while juggling all of the demands of being a business owner. We understand that your time is a limited resource and marketing might be the last thing on your priority list right now. Our mission is to provide you with tangible insights and actionable tactics into the latest marketing trends, best practices, and strategies that you can implement no matter how busy you are. Each episode is designed to offer practical advice on leveraging your unique business strengths and efficiently managing your marketing strategy. Whether you're tuning in during your morning commute, between meetings, or while on the run, Marketing on the Move is here to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in marketing, even when your schedule is packed. Join us for a journey into making the most of your marketing efforts, no matter how busy you are.
Welcome back to the Marketing on the Move podcast. This is part two of a two-part series that we're talking a little bit about strategy. And so joining us today is Savannah Abney, the co-founder of the Breezy Company. Say hello.
Hey there.
And Emily Hunter, who's in charge of all the people and in charge of us and telling us all what to do.
Quite the introduction.
Last time we talked about a little bit about overall what strategy does, kind of demystifying it, helping you not think of it so ethereal. Like there's some people that are just way better strategists than others. A lot of times, what it takes is solid frameworks, a really solid plan. If somebody gets in the room with you and they don't have a plan, they just start writing down the things you say. You're probably right to worry a little bit because they probably have no idea what's going to come out of it. But we talked a little bit about the customer persona framework, the customer avatar framework, where we go through all their different profile things. Some of it demographic, most of it psychographic, and what their goals and challenges are. And then we end up taking that into the story brand framework, which is the framework that we use. And we're story brand guides, and that's something that we've been doing for a while. And that's overall language that we're really starting to tell a story to a specific audience about what they want and what the problems are. And we reposition you as the guide, and they're the hero. So after you start to have those stories is when it starts to get a little more tangible, and you start to think about what specific tactics you're going to make. And so I find that the best way to do this is, rather than just saying we need a new website, we need to be doing social. We need to be doing a lot of things. But if we start to do those things and we either forget the strategy or we don't base the customer journey around them, we're going to accidentally lose them after too long. And so I use the customer journey framework, and I find that it's really helpful. It's actually really helpful for any company that has these, even to go back and start to say, hey, let's just, now that it's been a year, now that it's been 2 years, let's start to look about how are we doing on the customer journey? Would we change anything? So let's start to talk a little bit about what the value journey actually looks like. We may actually put this on the screen so you can see it. It changes a little bit for different people. I think sometimes we've even shown this as where it's either cyclical or sometimes it's an infinity loop. But this is a good way to think about it, and you start to put just different tactics underneath these big buckets. So one is awareness. Awareness is really when somebody has maybe either not heard of you at all, or they, it's think about when you become aware. So it's like, I didn't know you, and then all of a sudden I realized you were there. That's pretty much all we're really trying to accomplish in awareness. It's to get people at the idea, understanding that there's a product behind what we're doing. And so there's a couple ways that we do that. This is where social media plays a lot. This is where things like TV ads and they're called interruption mediums. They do start to make sense. Facebook, for instance, almost every ad you see on there or things like that, they are interruption type mediums. When you're doing something on Google and you're seeing a little display ad there, that's an interruption type medium. It's any medium that you're doing something that literally stops what you're doing and says, hey, look at me. You're playing a free game, and all of a sudden there's this annoying game that won't let you continue. That is an interruption type medium. So Savannah, I have a question for you. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of organic content, which is a lot of what we produce, versus versus paid awareness?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when people hear organic marketing now, they pretty much always think of social media, but organic marketing has been around literally since the dawn of time. It just was word of mouth, or it was, bullets. You put up a bulletin on the bulletin board and you tell people about what it's a flyer, things like that. So organic marketing has always been, in the public sphere. It's just now most of it is digital and most of it is social media because that's the way that you can freely talk about your product, service, what you offer, the solutions you have, problems you solve, etc. So you have your organic side of things, which could be several different, kind of avenues depending on your brand and business. Most of the time, it's going to look like social media, and then you have all your paid pieces, which are all the things that you just mentioned, all the interruption methods. Whether it's TV ads, it can be QR code ads now that go through your Amazon Fire Stick or your Apple TV or whatever. It can be ads that are digitally done, things like that. I would even argue that all of this is more of a saturation method. Billboards still kind of are in that category because as you're driving along, it's there in your view. You can't look where that billboard is. It still is taking up, your space and your line of sight. So organic is essential because this is where you're actually going to educate, entertain, provide value. You're going to be able to actually kind of win people over with what you offer them. Where you look at paid ads, yes, you're still going to create brand awareness. You're still going to kind of put your brand in front of people that haven't seen it before. You're going to offer a solution because, again, we've talked about the story brand framework. You're not the hero. The customer's the hero. You're simply the guide to a solution. But it's a little more brand centric because you're still going to use a tagline that talks about the solution that you provide, the problem you solve, but it's still with your brand in mind. You're still trying to get people to kind of push to who you are, whereas organic is purely about providing credibility, authority, maybe just entertainment, education, some sort of value, and it's going to be a long tail play, whereas paid ads are going to be more of a short term play. You're trying to get gain very quickly, and so they're much more expensive. Organic social media marketing is the most affordable form of marketing that currently exists. It's also the most effective over time, and you get the greatest ROI. It just takes a lot longer to actually be able to get significant results from.
So the kind of different ways I would look at it too is it's kind of like, should we always use ads and never do social marketing? The difference is when you are having a conversation or you're doing something, how often do you like to be interrupted while you're doing that thing?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going about your business and all of a sudden somebody walks in your face and says, "Hey, let me tell you about my business," it gets really annoying. It's the reason that most people are annoyed with ads. Why do we still advertise? Well, we still advertise because it works. But most people don't like advertisements. Like we watch advertisements, we started making them funny. When we were doing advertisement on the Super Bowl, and this is funny. It was like, okay, well, at least this is funny, and that's why I'm okay with interrupting the game that I care about. But you don't want people to interrupt you. And so, what's so great about organic is that a lot of times people start listening to somebody that's been building a relationship with them. They almost start to act like they have it. They're a little bit of their friend. They're willing to trust what they say, and they've been building their brand authority where you listen to them, and they'll build their credibility. Other people also trust what they have to say, and so that is something that it's really hard to get in a short amount of time. I would say if you want to compare, we're talking about how organic marketing's been around forever. If you're a person that shows up with a big wagon and a sign on the side, and you say, "Trust me, I'm going to put this stuff on your head," you're a snake oil salesman, right? There's going to be a lot of people that go, there'll be some people that buy, maybe. But most people will say, I don't think I'm going to trust that person, versus the doctor that's been here since I was 10 years old and has been helping me. So so that's the difference between really trying to build a relationship and why it's worth investing in these things that seem like they're taking a long time. And nobody likes to spend money on something that's investing in the long term. But a lot of times you'll end up regretting it when you do run that ad and it doesn't seem to work at all. And the reason a lot of times is because they have awareness but no trust. So we go from awareness and now we move into engagement, right? So the idea is that they've now become aware of you, and now you're trying to engage this person that has become aware of you. So, Emily, can you talk a little bit about some of the ways that we actually engage somebody that has started to pay attention to us, and how we keep that engagement?
Yeah, I think my number one strategy in that situation would be absolutely make sure, first of all, that you're speaking to the audience that you want to speak to, and that you've got those keywords, that your hashtags are chosen appropriately. But then my second strategy would be just use video. Just please use video, because that will, on just about every social platform, I think on every single social platform. Using video is a great way to get out to the largest number of people possible. So I'm talking about Instagram Reels, Facebook. I guess they use Reels too. They call it Reels. Um, even LinkedIn these days, we're seeing incredibly high engagement rates on video specifically. So that's like number one strategy I would recommend. The other couple of things that I always see work well for increasing engagement, the first one is to go and look and see what, if you already have some engagement, go and look and see what your audience is saying. So what are they commenting? Um, what kinds of people are sharing your content? What conversations are already happening, and how can you join into those? I always it's funny when I have clients who are trying to sort of start a conversation, and it's hard to explain that until you see it in practice, but it's kind of like a company trying to have a conversation with itself. Like, you can just sort of tell they don't really know what the actual narrative is around a topic. So I always suggest going and finding what people are already talking about and how can you interject and add value to that conversation. The second or third thing I would say is make sure you're using the tools and the different formats of content that each platform is trying to push. So, like when Reels first became a thing, when Stories first became a thing, polls. I mean, there's so many different types of content you can be creating, and I think taking advantage of that is almost always going to be rewarded. So that's another sort of easy change that you can make to make sure you're getting out to the most number of people. And then it's on your content to make sure you're speaking to the right audience, and then it's going to engage the people that you actually want to speak to.
Engagement is one of those things that we're going to try to move somebody from awareness to engagement. And remember, just because awareness can last 1 to 2 seconds, right? They can just not be paying attention at all. And so it's very important that you already know what your intention is for engaging somebody, and you try to use whatever awareness tactics you have to move into that engagement. You're pushing them through the journey. And now that we're engagement, this is where blogs come in. This is where a different kind of social, where the other social might have been things that might get their attention. It might be things that are just little things here and there. Really, a lot of the engagement content this is where it comes into how much do you know about this topic? Are you helping me in the long term? This is somebody that I'm constantly going to go to if I want to know about this one thing. For reviews for movies, there's just one guy on YouTube I go to all the time. I've been going to him for 10 years. I'll look him up on YouTube. It's because his reviews are really good, and I tend to agree with them. And so he's somebody that I follow. So you better believe that if he offers something, or if he says that this product is good and things like, I'm probably going to listen to him. The same thing goes with podcasts. So when you start talking about podcasts and you really believe in this one person and love the content they're producing, a podcast can actually say a little thing within the engagement that you actually start to believe them. Savannah, I know you have an opinion on this because we talked about this before. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between when you hear just a regular advertisement on a podcast versus when you hear somebody personally endorse something?
Yeah, I mean, I think we would be probably being naive to believe that every single podcaster that reads their own ads actually uses every single product or service that they read their ads for and like love it. And although I do think the majority of trustworthy podcasters actually already like that stuff and that's why they read their own ads, but even if they hate the product, hate the service, the fact that they are reading it in their own voice, that automatically puts their stamp of approval on it and makes you believe that it's more worthwhile. So I think that's why you kind of tend to have an attraction more to those types of ads. They also typically flow a lot better. A lot of people don't even skip a beat with their podcast. They go directly into the ad and they come right back to the conversation, and it's right in the flow of it. and it feels less interrupting than a typical ad.
Yeah. Now, of course, it's going to be more expensive because you're paying for the person to record and all this kind of stuff, and you can't be on a bunch of different podcasts. So there's different ways that you can do it. But I mean, I have listened to podcasts where they actually say on there, "Hey, listen, they sent me this mattress, and I laid on it for 2 months, and now it is my mattress, and this is why." And so it's almost really important for them to know the authenticity of how important the endorsement is, because it's coming from them. It's not just an advertisement. So let's start to move on to subscription. So we've taken the person from awareness. We managed to get them engaged. That means they're on our website. That means they're on social. They're looking at our videos. The one thing that we don't know is who they are. Like, even on metrics, they're going to show up as a number. We might know where some of these people are coming from, the time of day, all this kind of stuff, but we don't know specifically who they are. We have no way to specifically and personally communicate with them. And so what we're trying to do is get them to subscribe. And in this case, it's just another way you could look at it is just making myself known. And a lot of times that you have to understand that nowadays that is a payment. So I'm giving you a chance to be able to communicate with me. Most of the customers are not stupid. They know if they give away their email or if they give away their phone number, especially the phone number, they know they're going to get called probably in 2 minutes. But if what you're offering is really valuable and it's something that your audience really needs, a lot of times they're willing to take that gamble. They know you're going to try and sell them something, but they really want that thing. And so Savannah, why is it crucial when you're creating content to not just necessarily create the engagement content, the awareness content, but why do we sometimes focus on what I call premier content?
Well, I think it's just what you already said. It's a form of payment. So if I'm going to pay for something with my email, my phone number, with some kind of identifying information, I better be getting something good for it. And number one, they're just simply not going to give you that information if the offer is not enticing enough. You're just not even going to get there. And two, if I feel like it's enticing and I give her my information and then I get into it and realize it's not, you've really broken my trust and there's no shot you're ever selling to me again. So it has to be premium. It has to be super valuable. It has to feel like this was worth it. I gave over something of value. And I think you have to understand, like you said, emails, phone numbers, any identifying information, that is currency now.
One tactic I've seen to actually make this work is to actually splinter your content. And so a lot of times I've talked to companies that say, "Oh, well, we give away this for free as part of a much bigger offering." And so we'll start to say, "Well, can you splinter that off? Can you give that away for free? Or maybe you can offer that for a couple $100. You can do something to where their first payment with you or their first engagement with you is much smaller." And it becomes part of this way that you can start doing business with them or start communicating with them. And then you actually can splinter that off some more. And now that premier piece of content becomes blog posts. It becomes videos. It becomes all this kind of stuff pushing to the premier content. And the same thing goes for the awareness content. And so you can, if you're not doing the premier content, just come up with different ways to do awareness engagement. But when you have the premier piece of content, then I suggest looking at it like a spoken wheel. This is the center of the wheel. What am I going to do to break it up? What am I going to do to break that up even more and to syndicate the entire thing? And again, we're only talking about one audience. So when you start story branding all your different audiences, when you start identifying who all they are, when you start coming up with all these different tactics and what the customer journey is, you're going to be surprised at how much content you have. It's a massive amount. So you're not buying content. What you're doing is you're buying awareness and engagement, and you've set up a way to move them along the journey. Now they've gone from awareness, engagement, subscription, and now we're entering into conversion. So this is fairly simple. It's like Savannah was saying. We just have to make sure that we put it in there in a very clear way. So in social, I like to follow kind of the 90-10 model. Some people think of the 70-30 model. It's where, 90% of the time we're going to add value and we're not going to put any kind of major call to action. But every once in a while, we're going to just like kind of do a 1-2 punch. We're all of a sudden going to say, hey, and this is what our call to action is. This is what we're selling. And this is how you do business with us. And so I like to do that on social. But when it comes to like a website, I shouldn't be on your website wondering exactly how I do business with you. I shouldn't be on the store wondering exactly how I check out. And nowadays, things like Apple Pay and how quick it is, if they don't have something like Apple Pay, if I got to sit there and fill out my whole credit card information, you'd be surprised. In this day and age, I can, I'll still get upset that I have to I have to buy, I'm buying this from overseas and I got to put in all this stuff. But you'd be surprised if it doesn't happen immediately. Or there are websites that they want me to buy them from their website, but it is easier to buy it from Amazon. And so I will go to Amazon and, they're going to get significantly less savings because of doing that. So it's very important that you actually look at what is the fastest way that once they've decided they're going to buy, that I catch them before they change their mind. Because most people, when they want to buy, are not 100% sure. They're like 95% sure. And you can change their mind quickly by having a bad process.
I think the biggest thing for us, we figure out from a conversion standpoint, is to make that as seamless as possible. And I think that's for any brand or business, but there should be literally no barrier to conversion whatsoever. If you have even the slightest bit, I'm talking about, the reason that you see on Instagram now is comment for the link to be sent directly to you. That's to remove the barrier of having to go to someone's profile and click the link in their profile, which takes 2 seconds, but it still is a barrier to purchase. It's also why people tend to really push story ads specifically on Instagram, or even organic content that you want, because you have the linkable option there. So really removing any single barrier from a conversion standpoint, that's the biggest thing that we found from a success standpoint. Make it super easy. We actually just converted our process to an e-commerce process on our site to make the barrier extremely low to get people started as well. So low barrier to entry, absolutely nothing in the way, make it really easy.
So let's start to talk about what excitement actually is. It's about building excitement. Now with Savannah, she talked a little bit about how Amazon does it. Amazon's really good about building excitement about when you're going on. And I'll tell you a little story about I bought I had to buy a new washer and dryer. I bought it from, and I will not name the company, a certain hardware store, and it's where you would normally go to buy the stuff. But it was so like I bought it online, but I could tell that the in-store people were not talking to the online people, and then it wasn't coming to, and it was a different process, and it was very complicated, and I had no idea when it was coming in. Versus then I bought it from a different electronics retailer, and it came to my app. It said your washer and dryer are 2 days away. It's 1 day away. It's almost there. When it was there, they had somebody come to install it that day. I always knew what was going on, and on top of that, their communication was very much in sync. I was getting excited about a stupid washer and dryer because they were building that excitement. Matter of fact, I think they even sent me stuff about how I can use that washer and dryer to keep my clothes smelling nice and all this kind of stuff. And so what you want to look at is when they've made the conversion, it's easy to think that, okay, my marketing job is done. But the way marketing works and the way a product works, there's a very much a gray area. They should be talking to each other. The salespeople and the marketing people and the product people should be very much in sync. So because the marketing people are in charge of making sure that's a great product experience, because those same people are then going to tell other people. And believe it or not, when you have sometimes people even have an okay product, but they don't manage to make getting it very easy. And you will see on the reviews, once I got it and finally set it up, and that was really hard to do, it was a great product. Which, that's kind of like a backhanded compliment. Like, yeah, it was good, but, it stunk getting it. It's those people that manage to get it like all the way through it was just really good. Disney is really good at this. They look at every single detail of how the product works, and everything is marketed.
So from an excitement standpoint, and I can only speak to our business, of course, but you also, when you get excited about a new product or service. I think one thing that I have found that I think Amazon and other e-commerce retailers do a really good job of is you get an email with every step of the process of when you're going to get your thing shipped, and then when it's en route, it's going to be delivered by this time, etc. It gets you excited. So if you've been looking forward to getting this thing coming in, at each step that you're going to what to expect. And that kind of creates fun and novelty. We try to replicate that on the digital service side of things by having this full onboarding process. We have this constant communication. Okay, now you've paid. This is what happens next. This is what we're going to do. We take them through our full onboarding process. They get updates every couple of days during our onboarding process so that they know that their new content or their new site or their new video, whatever it is coming. I think just those constant updates are a really great way to create excitement.
So we move from excitement to the ascend. Ascend, we also call it the value ladder. Basically, this only idea is that there's a core offer. And the core offer is what you're going to be trying to get them to purchase immediately. And again, that conversion, that may have been purchase. That may have just been like, okay, we want them to sign up for a free membership. But the ladder is all about, okay, now how can I upgrade them to the highest tier we have? Because some people will become fans and they'll buy everything. And some people will only buy the core offer. But the idea is that it's always cheaper to get your current customers to be your next customer. And so you want to be going up that ladder. And it takes things like email automation. It takes things like not just salespeople, but also customer service people. A lot of things play into really customer engagement, which is different than prospect engagement. But the reason it's worth it is because they're the ones that you're going to get to upgrade. That's when we move into Advocation. So the Advocate model is really about how do I create fans of my organization. And they're not necessarily going to be fans of just the company unless they bought a million things and it's all been great. But how are they going to become fans of this product, or how you guys just do how you guys do business? I know that I have. If you've ever heard of Autonomous, they make office furniture. I have a desk here from Autonomous. I have a lamp here from Autonomous. I'm actually sitting in a little a small office that Autonomous made. I really like that company, mostly because I like their design and I like how well it is to work with them, and I like their customer service. I would recommend them to anybody because I like the way that they work. And what you're trying to do is build an advocate out of people like me, right? So that over time, you never know, that person could be on the internet talking, or they could just be talking to all their friends, which goes back to awareness, right? So you get that. And then at the very end, there's a very small percentage of people you can actually end up becoming a promoter. And those are people that are like, why you have affiliation programs. It's people that you're willing to share like a little percentage or whatever to actually promote and sell your product. Amazon has done a great job about this, of where people are selling their stuff and people are selling their stuff on Amazon. And so Amazon's getting payment from both, and they're just having to pay these affiliates a little bit. But everybody should have an affiliation program. But it won't matter in the end unless you have this entire value journey. So I know we covered a lot, and there's a lot deeper you can go into this, but this is what we take people through. This is what's really important. When you understand this, it changes your entire business. And even though you may have a CFO or you may have a CCO that is working with you, those people all kind of play parts of this. This is all part of the customer journey, the experience, and becomes really important when you start to look at all your marketing channels and how they really work. When you get all of these boxes like really humming, you've got a really solid business.
I think the advocate side of the funnel and of the customer journey, you think, well, if we do a good enough job, people should just become advocates. That's not how people work. They need to know what's in it for them, or they have to at least be prompted along. I would say for us, most of our clients are more than happy to record a video testimonial or give us a quote or refer us. Like they have been so happy, they really are happy to do it. but you have to ask, and you usually have to ask more than once. They're busy, they have a lot of stuff going on, but that's an essential piece, not just for content, although I think it's really important to have testimonials on your site, in your socials, in your collateral. All of that just shows your credibility and authority. I think is a really, really important piece. But also, you just have to understand that people aren't going to take you seriously if you don't have those things. Like, that really is what makes people it really makes a difference. And people ask you for case studies, when they ask you for anything like that, you really need to have those in place. And the only way to get them is to ask for them. They're probably not going to do it of their own accord. I've had a handful of amazing clients over the years. They're like, hey, can I give you this? Can I write this quote for you? Like, oh, of course, absolutely. But just know that you need to have a systemized process in place for collecting those and getting those. I know we have one within Breezy. We use a system called Video Ask. It's excellent. Highly recommend. It's super easy. You set it up one time, and then you can just send your link out to any client. They can either write in a quote or record a video right there. Super easy and simple, but figure out a method for you so that you can collect those, because it's not going to happen if you don't put the effort in.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Again, it was part of a series, so be sure, if you didn't hear the first episode, to go back and listen, because it makes a lot more sense when you connect them. And then, like we said before, you can go to thebreezycompany.co/strategy and download all of our frameworks that a lot of times we use all the time. You can get an understanding of how we're doing it. And so other than that, thank you so much for listening to us. Go to all the socials and listen to everything that we have to say about the Breezy content. And thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Marketing on the Move. If you're looking for more ways to improve your marketing and build a scalable system to help your business grow, check out thebreezycompany.co or any of the resources linked in today's show notes.